Any questions, or have you had a chance to take a look at it?
I didn't get to go through that with the fine tooth comb, typically we try to because of the, the lengthiness of the number of issues that's going to come up later in the meeting, but just looking over it and didn't see anything major. In view of that, and I've also received the minutes online instead of the paper version. That's all I have. If anybody else wants to comment.
Do I hear a motion
Make a motion.
to accept them?
You make a motion to accept them, Jimmy? Yes.
Here a second?
Second.
Worley,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Harding,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Major,
Yes.
Poindexter.
Is that for the expenditures and the meeting minutes, or just what? With those?
Yes.
All right, additions to the agenda, we will be adding the plot canvases and discussion, picking back up where we left off before. Moving on to the public comments section, since nobody signed up, we can keep moving right along. We're going to scratch the first item in new business, the Avio local performance agreement, if we've already handled that. The plaza update, Matt is back, so at our next work session, he'll be calling in to talk about some of the options and the pricing. The state mandate update is we are still considering all the options with bond council, and the state is possibly whether we stay under it or not. So we're working on that, and we're going back and forth. And John, you've been involved with bond council. You have anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, it appears that since we've had clean reports for 2 years, that we may well be able to get out from under the mandate. And we still have some things we have to do, so we would need funding for that. But as far as the corrections that we were going to have to spend all that money on, we probably won't have to do that.
So we'll,
But there's other things like the pumps and some other things we have to do anyway.
yeah, that's being determined as we speak.
But that's still in engineering.
Well, it's still at the state level with them making a decision.
Correct, okay.
Yeah. Reports from
Can we
staff.
expand on that a little bit so citizens understand? So, everybody in here knows water goes up $1 a year through 2029, 2030 by this mandate. So if we can get out from underneath this state mandate, if they're in agreement that we can come out from under this mandate, yes, we still need to upgrade our equipment from 1940. But that wouldn't mean we'd be forced to continually keep going up with the state leg forward, so that we could maintain and start going backwards as we start repairing our water system. It just means we wouldn't be under what the state says we'd have to do. That's what would mean coming out from under the mandate. If I'm incorrect, please tell me, Joe.
No, you're right.
Okay. Reports from staff. Treasurer Marissa Padilla. Padilla. Excuse me.
I was able to get everyone's W-2s completed and all our 1099 NECs, and I was able to get that electronically submitted for the government and state purposes. I have started working on those Voya payments, lots of Excel sheets on all of 2025 to now to get every single payroll payment, all the calculations on that, so that's almost done. Just regular invoices, and then I've also had a Voya request recently that was sent out and dealt with also, so all good.
Thank you. Shannon Ray's clerk.
I have been updating our system, getting all of the missing data from our water and tax accounts updated, which is, I've been working on for about a month now. I'm working with DMV to be able to do the stops. We ran into a snag because there was actually 3 sets of paperwork that I had to complete, and I didn't understand exactly what I'm doing. But next year it won't be like this. And then my everyday taking payments and helping the guys get the digital filing systems set up and working good is about what takes my time.
Thank you.
Public Works, Joe Smith.
We're getting ready to bill out again the end of the month. We're working with the engineers with some Zoom meetings to go over the proposed engineering for the plant operations. We're still talking with the existing engineer, which is Pete and Ports, about the mandate. We're still trying to hold off with the contractors and what we can with that until the decision's made. And then basically leaks and everyday paperwork. That's about all I have.
Thank you. One thing that I would like to add to the Public Works Department, Paul has his Class 1 license in hand.
Class 5.
Class 5.
We got a
Hey, I was trying to move you along. And,
That boy's head wouldn't get out the door.
so, we will write you your check tomorrow.
Greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Jason?
Sure. Get over here so I can kind of, yeah, hold on. Try not to drop stuff. Everybody should have the police report in front of them. We got a bunch to go over tonight, that's why I'm standing up here. You'll see our calls for service on the front, others, miles driven, our use of force, we had none, complaints, we had none. On the back, you'll see department updates, okay? I moved the PD messaging sign up to the end of Prospect right there because we're gonna have the trash pickup this coming Saturday. We'd love to have anybody that wants to participate. We have to have you, we'll put you in a vest, give you some pickup sticks so you don't have to touch it, some gloves, and some trash bags. It's gonna be 10 o'clock, that's correct.
On Saturday?
On Saturday, yes ma'am. So go up to the church parking lot there and we'll stage out there. The fire department, I've contacted them, the fire department's gonna come up, we'll block that road off. Just like always, what we've done in the past, the road's still gonna be active because we have 2 streets feeding into that section. So just be mindful if you wanna participate, we greatly appreciate it.
It's Hurt Methodist Church.
Hurt Methodist at the very end, yes ma'am. Second, the local schools, this year, I know we had some discussion when the line item was entered into the budget for a scholarship. I wanted to do a scholarship for children in our community. What we did was we was able to raise funds, we were able to raise funds for this. We were able to have $500 raised for this. So the applications have gone out to Gretna, Faith Christian, and Alta Vista Combined Schools. The deadline for that is going to be the 15th, if I'm correct. And they'll fill out an application. I have a committee. The committee will come in, we'll meet on it. The way the committee works, it's myself. We have one council member, that's going to be Councilman Major. Then we have representative from the schools, and then we have a person sitting in the community that will come in and will look at all the applications. So far, we've got one, so that's good. The PD also, last year, we sponsored a Graduate of Merit. That's your best and your brightest in your community in Pittsylvania County. We want to show our youth that we appreciate them. We want them to come back and work for us. That's our general, that's our future. So I was able to obtain funding for this and a donation, another donation. I've got a company that's going to fund this for the PD. So we will be doing this again, all right? Officer Markins and myself, we were certified in CPR and AED this past month.
I attended TASER instructor, so got my instructor for the TASER. Now next we'll do the shooting range. I think everybody in front of you y'all have a handout of it. The documents I provided to you in the shooting range, I'll let you get where you need to go before we start off. Thank you. All right. So I tried to break this down to explain why we need one, okay? I would like to propose that Hurt Police Department have a LE only shooting range. This is not only a shooting range, but it will be a training ground for us to go down and do yearly training in different forms of equipment that we have. All right. So DCJS, why is DCJS requires annual firearm qualifications? Having our own range is a valuable resource when it comes to staying proficient with our equipment. Proficiency with our equipment helps our community by enabling officers to feel confident and more efficient with their equipment. Having an in-house training ground will allow us to train in town more often with our equipment that we also have. This allows us to be closer in case we get a call. Simply put, training matters. We need to constantly train. Where the property is located in the town of Hurt, on town property. This property is located near a commercial construction company, an antique store, and is zoned industrial on our zoning map, the town zoning map. It's zoned industrial. Okay, what is needed? Here's the meat and potatoes of this, right? When we get, what is needed. The shooting range will be designed to keep the persons using the range safe, as well as community businesses environment safe around the site. This location has a natural berm located around it. We will need an increased backdrop to catch projectiles that will be traveling downrange. The backdrop will be extended in height for maximum safety. A shoot house for personnel with stage equipment, wind training, storage building, and lighting. All right, how are we going to do this? Town council will need to approve the site location and funding to start the process. Give you some back history on this. I started talking about this 6 years ago. I know the mayor and myself had discussions on this. It's always been economic development. That's what we need in this community, economic development. My plan was through economic development that a road was going to be put in on the town site. We were going to get a shooting range up there. We wouldn't have to maintain the road because economic development would maintain it. Currently where I want to do this at, it's a road already there, so we don't have the burden of incurring the cost of the road. The road is already there. The road is used and it's under lock and key. All right, the initial startup cost, this is meat and potatoes of it, survey. I tried to get you some rough numbers. These are rough numbers. I called and talked to a surveyor today, $1,200. I told him kind of what I had. He said $1,200 to survey this. And I'm assuming that we would need a special use permit for this because it probably does not fall under that industrial site. That would be a John Eller question. I couldn't answer that, but that would just be an assumption there.
It's not a listed use for sure.
That's right. All right. Services or product. I've tried to do some homework, some work on this so that the cost is not bared, entirely by the town. I've had donations of $500 towards gravel or dirt, whatever my choice is. Skid steer excavator work donated by 2 companies. Utility poles installed by a utility company be donated engineer consultant for target setup. All right. Future needs. A shoot house, lighting, gravel, dirt, sand, plastic barriers, signage, and we would use a generator. I like to use a generator instead of lighting, so we don't have to pay the burden of paying electricity down there when we're not going to be down there. If we need to hook up some lights, and we can just run a generator, kind of like what Joe has for Public Works, that would suit us fine. Joe don't have a problem with it. Maybe I can borrow it off of him for a day. It's fine with me. But future funding, I've tried to put some numbers there so you can all see this. Signage miscellaneous, 2,000, generator 1,000, rock, dirt, sand 10,500, shoot house with storage 500 square feet, $50 a square foot, equals 25,000 for a pole barn style building. Shoot house dimensions will be a 15 by 20 for storage and 10 by 20 shooting area. To address the questions probably for storage, we need somewhere to store targets, somewhere to store stuff when we perform training, so it's just not sitting out in the rain and the weather. Since Steve, you have construction, that number sound about right for pole barn construction?
It's been so long, I would guess it's about right, but I've been out of it so long.
That's fine, I just, if anybody have any questions on that. I've also included the GIS and maps showing that location. My end goal, and I would like to have this project completed, is 2031, 5 years. I don't want to kick the can down the road, we've been kicking it for 5 years now.
So you wanna work on this a little at a time?
A little at a time, I'm not asking for the money, really, I just need, get a survey and we go down there and I get some work donated and we work on it next year.
So you're trying to get a process started.
I'm just trying to get a process started. I'm trying to get approval to get the process started so we can work towards something.
A lot of them metal buildings, if you got a flat site, you can 3D it online and be a whole lot cheaper than
Yeah, and that's,
25K.
yep, and that's fine. I'm just trying to give you some rough numbers for stuff to, I'm not set on a pole barrel. I want to try to give you as much as I can so you can try to make a picture in your mind of what I would like to have. I'm trying to have vision for the PD is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to set it up better for where I found it. If I'm not doing that, then y'all need to get rid of me. So,
What's your total ballpark estimates? Have you added all that up?
yeah, so 10, 25, 35, 35, 38, 5, am I doing my math right in my head?
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, about 40.
And that's spread over 5 years period.
That's spread over a 5-year period. And I think that's
Kind of bill you gonna,
it's like a carport.
Yeah, because
Carport
I'm getting the name
side.
of the one that's like Anthony Anderson or something like that. You can literally go on there and do the 3D rendering. And they'll ask you, do you want it on a gravel pad or concrete pad? And you pay for it right there online and they roll up there and put it up in a day.
but you have to have it painted that.
Or just gravel. You just gotta have a flat place to put it. They'll put it on gravel.
But you said you need a concrete slab.
Well, I mean, I like to have a concrete slab where the storage part of it is. For the
It's also
storage
the
part.
dampness.
For the dampness, and I think, I've seen some sites that, where they have Connexes set in to lock them in. I think, I price Connexes, I feel like you probably money well spent if you do either a metal carport and have it sided out, or do a pole barn, and as far as I'm concerned, if you start on it, frame it up, put a roof on it, you can come back in a year or two and put sides on it, you know. It's something that we just need to work on long term.
Now, you won't store any ammunition in there whatsoever?
No, nothing like that, no, nothing that's gonna be of really, anything like that. Somebody wants to break in and steal some paper targets and just have at it, but we don't want, mice or anything get in and damage what we're storing down there.
How many officers do you think could be trained down there simultaneously?
Depends on what the survey says, depends on how wide, depends on how many lanes. Honestly, I like to make it, the range at least 40 feet wide. And the reason for that is if you go down and you practice drills and you pull vehicles in, a car is 20 feet wide. And if you angle them in, you have 2 of them doing drills off of it, you've completely took the width of your range. So.
You looking at this just for you and Tristan, or for Altabesta and?
Yeah, so if another agency wants to come in and train with us when we're over there, I don't want to open this up to non-law enforcement.
Right.
It's just law enforcement or,
But for a nominal donation, we could let Altabesta use it. Donation purposes.
So, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to set something up where a lot of times we invite another agency over, they can come and train. It gives us a place to actually go down and do taser training. We do not want no harm to anybody. We don't want the general public to see how we train. That's not a good, that's how they beat you when you get in a bad situation, because they know what your tactics are. You know,
Well, if you backing up out the distance, they backing you up, you wanna know how good somebody shoots too.
that's right.
Where do you do this training at now?
So, it's a combination. Sometimes, if we qualify, we'll go to Pennsylvania County's range, which is in Dry Fork at the landfill. We'll go to Alta Vista's range, which is out here on the pocket. If we go with the academy, and we're doing training with the academy, then we would use the academy range in Lynchburg. So that's where we'll end up, at one of those three places. I want to get past the minimum qualifications of DCJS. You know, where we go up there and we shoot once a year to meet our minimum qualifications. If you do better than minimum, you're doing good. So I want to be able to meet better than minimum.
So this is gonna be time saving, money saving, because you're not traveling to these other facilities. It's also gonna allow you to train more often as well.
It'll allow us to train more often. We go through every year, go over our use of force, stuff like that. We'll actually have a training ground that we can go to, do use of force, stay proficient on the tools and equipment that we're issued, is what it will do for us.
And when you're training, you could still theoretically respond, because
Yeah.
you'll be at the
Because we'll be in our community and you know, in theory, in town. I mean, we're still gonna be in town. Where it's located at, it's not really anywhere that's gonna bother anybody. I don't think it's gonna bother our neighbors in the construction business over there, running bulldozers and cranes. They probably not gonna hear anything. And I've already been a good neighbor and talked to the person that owns the antique place to make sure that they were good with it, and they said they are. So, it's not something we're gonna be down there every day, every week, but, you know, we wanna be good neighbors to our citizens in town.
In this image in the satellite view, it looks like the blue area has a road running directly through it.
It does.
Is that the road
correct.
you're gonna use for accessing the site?
That is correct. That is the road that we'll use for accessing through it. It's a right of way to that. That right of way actually runs to the intakes.
Okay. And who actually owns that road?
I guess everybody has a right of way to that. Right of way probably goes with.
Railroad too, I think.
Yeah,
So who pays for the maintenance of that road?
that's a good question.
Nobody for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's real super.
yeah. That's probably where some of your
Soupy.
gravel's gonna come in.
Meaning that no one's maintaining this road?
Yeah, it's not really, it's like driving through a grass field.
Yeah.
It's a road there,
Soupy.
and it's got gravel in the road, and I can drive down it on a patrol vehicle.
You
It's
can.
not, I can, it's not roaded out. I wouldn't recommend going down there
Right. Yeah.
in a car.
We use that road to go down to the intakes,
Okay.
and there's a locked gate under the railroad. Once you go through the road and it turns, there's a tunnel there, and the gate's locked, so you can't bring any vehicles through there. And then you go out to where our pumps are for the water treatment plant.
Who has access to that lock?
As it stands now, we
The Adams do.
Yeah,
Because
the
they
Adams
own the
do,
land,
we
don't they?
do, and the antiques place does. There's a hidden key with a lock gate. The ones who know are allowed to go and know where the key is.
Okay.
Good answer.
We might want to get an agreement among all the people that use it, so that we know that we put buildings and things out there that we'll be able to access them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that'd be a good thing to do with the intakes. Even if we don't put a shooting
Yeah,
range
we already
in.
got a gentleman's agreement on that.
Yeah, so, probably still need to cover that either way. Does anybody have any questions, any more questions on the proposed shooting range? Any comments, questions, concerns? Okay.
Where owns the land that the road is on, right? That's her
No,
land, isn't it?
some of it is and some of it is not.
Yeah.
So it goes through multiple parcels of property owned by different people. One section of it, the town owns, one section of the town don't own, and the other section of the town don't own.
What section will you be using?
In
Her.
the middle, I'll be right in the middle. So I'll be I'll have to go through the first section, and then with the town's property is in the center of the
So the
road.
first section you go through is not first land.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's the only one we'd need to get an agreement for.
Right. And it may already be deeded right away. I guess I just have to look into that.
Yeah, we want to be sure about that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So what are you looking from us today? Just to inform us?
Well, what I would like y'all to do is allow some money to get a survey, is what I would like, approve moving forward on it. Put a motion on it forward, approve moving forward, and look into the right of way, and then get money to survey, because I don't want to do anything down there until we get a survey to know that we're on our property and we have access
Well,
to
the
it.
survey should show the right of way.
So I like the idea of us having a law enforcement range. I think that there's a lot of benefit to it. I'm curious do you have an idea of where we're gonna pull this from the budget inside the police department? Or is this gonna have to come from some other line item?
I think my budget's real tight.
Yeah.
Real tight. I'm not happy to share that with anybody. It's real tight. I work on banjo string. I think if we pulled it from anywhere, then it would have to pull from the training. However, I know training is already, I've got an invoice that hadn't hit yet probably. I can go down and I know exactly what I've got in training. It's probably not actual versus budget because I know what's out there. It's gonna come in. But that's probably the only line item. And while we're talking about budget, so, Councilman Poindexter, when we get to that point, let me know, because I've got stuff for you for the next budget coming up.
We'll be talking in the near future. The spreadsheet document is under construction, but it's near completion. I've just got to have a breathe on the things that work to finish it, and then it's time to start building. And so, yeah, we'll need to really talk to everybody, every department, and call numbers one at a time to see where we need to go. It's going to be a complicated process, as it often is, and there'll be new things to look at this year, do differently this year. Many unknowns.
That's right.
Well, I'll say more on budget later, but go ahead. So you're looking tonight to basically, for an approval to begin, to initiate this process.
That's right.
And to set aside approximately $1,200 to get a survey done
Right,
as phase one, so to speak.
that's correct.
And you're proposing to pay for that out of PD staff professional development line item, and maybe if we have to, we just let that line item run over this sample.
Yes, that's a line item that I think that I'll probably won't have much room in there, but it's gonna be tight.
What about vehicle
Based on
purchase?
description of what it is, and it looks like the
There's
most
$2,000,
popular one.
there's $2,000 sitting in vehicle purchase.
Yeah, we can do that, because I think we're good on that.
On line 10, 131, 987, 1,000, there's 2,000 for vehicle purchase. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna buy a vehicle before June, unless I'm looking
Are you
at it wrong.
on page 8?
Page 9.
9.
And here's my thought process on it. If we put it
Is
in,
that what that is?
That is a line item that is in the budget every year where we're supposed to reserve a couple thousand each year toward the next police car when we need one.
Okay.
Is what that is, and it's not always where it goes, but it's what it's intended for originally.
if we do the training, and I just know that I got 1,200 less in my professional development, and we'll see how, we've got about 4 more months. Well, not really 4 more months, 3 more months to the end of the year. It'll be tight.
Yeah, Mark,
And the truth of the matter is I don't know what the surveyor's schedule is. I mean, he may come tomorrow, he may say I'm booked out for 2 months, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this, while we're talking about the budgetary side of this, I mean, if we find $1,000, $1,500 here for your survey, then going forward, what are your thoughts on the upcoming cycle?
So that, I would try to put it in the professional development, because that's where it would need to go at, in the training and professional development, because that's
So
where.
everything else for this initiative will all go under that regardless of what
Yep.
year?
Right, that's right. In my thought process, that's where it would go, because that's where it needs to go.
Well, I mean, that's what it's for.
That's right.
It's to be professional development.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to be sure I wasn't missing, that wasn't the
And it may be, once we get to that point and say, hey, we're looking good, we've got it where I want it to be at, we don't have to spend any money down there other than just maintaining stuff, but
Could we do a capital and expense line item and call it shooting range? That way we would know what we're budgeting for.
You're talking
And
about having a separate line item
NPD,
specifically.
capital and expense, because as it travels on down the road, you're gonna have to buy new targets, it's gonna be expense. You're gonna have to put gravel on the road, it's gonna be an expense. There'll be upkeep of the building, it's gonna be expense. There's gonna be sand and barrels. So it's gonna travel
It's gonna be ongoing.
ongoing, so it'd be better to put a capital and expense line in there, capital for building it and expense to keep it up. And then that way we know, we don't question, what's this miscellaneous?
Yeah, I don't like to use a broad catch-all like miscellaneous too much.
I don't either, but if we put capital and expense specifically for a shooting range, we know exactly where those dollars are, which would make Marissa's life a lot easier.
I think so. Well, we can certainly build that into the next budget would be the time to do that, and then it will be there perpetually.
And then a year you don't use it, then you're just stacking your expense for next year.
that's fine.
For now, to get him started, I would think it would make sense to use the professional development line item.
Okay, that's fine.
So, in view of all that, and backing up to the fact that this is something that's been on the table for years, and like many other things we're working on, is years overdue. While it's not everything is ideal financially, I don't think we need to continue to procrastinate on this. So in view of that, I'm going to make a motion that we authorize our police department to initiate the process that's been discussed here tonight for the shooting range, and to appropriate approximately $1,200 toward a land survey as part of that process.
I'll second the motion.
Shannon?
Yes.
Worthing. Johnson,
Yes.
Harding.
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Major,
Yes.
and Nelson, you done got me tickled. Poindexter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Looks like you got it.
all right, thank you. And we still got some more. All right, so next line item on department updates, have an application, it's local law enforcement grant. I've applied for that. That grant is 100% grant for equipment, okay? This grant was, for us this year, was $1,009. If we awarded this grant, I'd like to buy a gas mask. That's what we need to buy, another gas mask. Hope we never have to use it, but that's something we need. Let's see here. PD was awarded 100% scholarship for Officer Morgans and myself to train the auto theft training by Virginia State Police.
Is that this?
No, I'm getting ready to get to that. That's next. That's taser. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've gotten ahead of you on the.
That's all right, that's good, that's fine. So, I sent out an email, the next thing you'll see is, this is what it's gonna look like. That's what the next thing we're gonna talk about. So this is a taser, okay? And got a pocket full because I can't hold everything. keep on digging in. All right. I'll pass this around. This is what we're currently using on our tasers. That's one shot. That's just show and tell. The picture that you have here are 10 individual probes. That's 2 probes in that, okay? So what happens is, if we go to use non-lethal force and we go to shoot our taser and we miss that person, then we have to manually unload from another cartridge on the bottom of our taser. Right? This model here is a 2013 model that we're currently using. These tasers, they've come out, they've been out, the Taser 10s have been out. Unfortunately, it's important that we keep up with our equipment and not use old equipment. They no longer support the software that's in our taser. These are X26Ps. The taser no longer supports that. You can still buy batteries, you can still buy probes, but the tasers are no longer supported by the software. If you look on this, and all of them will have it, these will shoot 25 feet. These probes will shoot 25 feet. They have an expiration date on them. All of them will have an expiration date. Everything has an expiration date on it. They have an expiration date on it. What we normally do is once we reach expiration date, we go and we train with our old ones so we get something out of it. We just don't throw them in the trash. It gives us opportunity to train. So that's what we're currently using. Again, these are the 10s I want to speak to you tonight on. And the 10s have 10 cartridges, so you shoot those cartridges or probes individually. You shoot a probe, you make contact, and then you try to split the belt line. That's what you're trying to do, to hit 2 muscle mass. So you'll get up top, and then like a leg. If you miss, then you just pull the trigger again, and another probe comes out. You get 10 shots to get instead of 1, and before you have to reload. So it's a big difference. Plus these will go 40 feet, up to 40 feet. It's a big difference.
Well, I was about to ask about the difference. You mentioned 20 or 25. How does that compare?
Yeah, 15 more feet's a big difference.
Yeah.
Especially when you get somebody screaming and hollering. I sent an email out. Was everybody able to watch the link in the email?
No, you got the wrong address from me.
Okay, I've got it up here, so we're gonna watch a link tonight so you can see what this thing's about. So the police department did a community awareness of the Taser 10s. Everybody, for the majority, likes to watch TV, so y'all want to listen to me. I probably prefer to watch this. Takes about 3 minutes of your time.
You're gonna be tased! Get on the ground! Taser, taser, taser! Hey, I'm Sergeant Brandon Danowski with the Waukesha Police Department. I've been here approximately 8 years. I'm one of the Waukesha Police Department's Taser Master Instructors, along with Lieutenant Kyle Bergner. The Waukesha Police Department is excited to have the Taser 10 assigned to all sworn personnel. The video you just saw showed one of our officers deploying a Taser 10 on a subject who was believed to be armed from approximately 38 feet away. The biggest change with the Taser 10 is that it allows officers 10 opportunities to control a suspect. Models previous to the Taser 10 would only allow officers 2 opportunities at most. Our officers are constantly trained in the use of de-escalation tactics, and a large part of de-escalation is managing distance. The Taser 10 has the capability of accurately deploying cartridges with a max effective range of 40 feet. The benefit of distance gives officers the ability to receive and process information to make better decisions under stress. The Taser 10 allows officers to control subjects who are wearing heavy clothing, positioned in awkward positions, or even positioned around other officers. The TASER 10 uses a very low voltage output, making it safer around flammable substances, and allows officers to safely work towards handcuffing subjects while they are experiencing the effects of the TASER 10 to ultimately end the confrontation and ensure the safety to all involved. TASER 10 is equipped with a 96 decibel warning alert, which also strobes a 1000 lumen flashlight out the front of the TASER 10. This, once again, allows officers the opportunity and ability to de-escalate a situation by giving the warning alert itself and attempting to gain compliance without ever having to deploy probes to the subject. We have found this to be very successful in the field. Our goal is to always gain compliance by the use of the warning alert and laser painting. However, when a subject forces us to deploy a TASER, we are highly trained to do so effectively. Every member at our agency that carries a TASER 10 is required to complete annual training in the use of the TASER 10. Officers must complete a live fire qualification and conduct reality-based training scenarios to show that they are capable of making the proper decisions when it is justified to deploy a TASER. Something new to the TASER training program is our implementation of virtual reality training. Virtual reality allows officers to deploy hundreds of cartridges in a variety of settings, such as a range, a scenario setting, and situations that mimic real-world deployments. Virtual reality allows our department the ability to save a substantial amount of money because officers can deploy cartridges in a virtual setting, which costs nothing, as opposed to deploying live cartridges, which obviously have a cost factor. As with any situation in which officers are forced to respond to a subject's resistance, our goal is to get the confrontation over with as quickly as possible in order to prevent injury to the officer, the public, and the resistive subject. The Waukesha Police Department strives to provide the best tools available to keep our officers and community safe, therefore fulfilling our pledge to serve with honor, integrity, and courage.
So that just kind of sums it up in a nutshell, what we're talking about. So if we move on past the photo, and you look at the email that I sent, you'll see in the email that the original quote for this was $26,000 and some change, okay? The grant that we will be applying for will be a JAG grant. This is what it's called. It's a 75%, 25% match. They will pay 75%, we will pay 25%. That 25% would be $6,500 and some change, all right? So I called back and tried to negotiate a little bit for the town and told them they needed to do a little bit better on the pricing. So after I spoke to them, I got them to come down to $24,340. You'll flip it over on this page here. It's a highlighted at the bottom. It says $24,340. Okay. So if we flip over one more, you'll see this page. It's going to have a bunch of highlights, and then I'm going to have a handwritten number. That handwritten number, all parts, is going to be $6,085. What I called and asked for out of my sales rep was, I told them what we're working with. We're working with a grant. We're trying to get a grant. Is it possible to pay $18,255 down? That would be our part of that 75%. That would be the 75% grant that we would get if we were awarded this JAG grant. And then to break it down into 4 years to pay, which was approximately a little over $1,500, so $1,521. They said, yes, we can do that. So that would put us, for budgetary purposes, with new equipment, for $1,521, a payment of, for the next 4 years, that would give us that total amount of that $6,085. With this, now what all this entails, the reason why I showed you that video was one, to talk about the TASER, the capabilities of the TASER, and the second part of it is so you can see what it looks like and what I'm applying for. I'm applying for the TASERs, the holsters that come with the TASERs. You'll see in the video that there was a training suit that the guy had a full shield on that. It would be part of the grant, was that the hook and loop suit. Also, you saw yellow tasers and white tasers. Yellow tasers are duty weapons, white tasers are virtual reality. This grant would also include virtual reality because I'm trying to create an in-house training program for our tasers. In this quote, I had them add not only the virtual reality taser, but the firearm that is virtual reality. So we can go transition and train transition from lethal to non-lethal force, whatever way it may be. With that said, the system would give us new tasers, our hook and loop system, our targets. I don't know if you remember seeing in there, but there was a big target, had a yellow face, green body, yellow groin on a big target. That's also included, so it gives us somewhere to actually shoot the target so we can practice in the green zones, not the yellow zones. That's what's all included into this price for these tasers. If I can say anything as important as I think it is, we've got to stay up on our equipment. It costs too much to come at us all at one time. We don't want it to, we want to make sure that we can pay along on our police equipment, whether it be firearms, tasers, anything, vehicles. You don't want to hit it all at one time and say, oh, this year we need tasers and cars and computers and guns, and it'll break us. So we need to make sure that for budget purposes that we put these things in. Hate to see line items in there for that, but it is what it is. I cannot stress that enough. When you go out somewhere and you have to pull your taser out and it don't do anything for you, it's a bad feeling. And I wouldn't recommend anybody being in here in that feeling, and I've experienced it before. It's not a good feeling. So, I would greatly appreciate it if you keep us up on our equipment.
So what I'm reading here, if I take this right, you, for this time frame, you are basically front weighting the 75% grant to get it started and then paying our 25% spread out over 5 subsequent years.
It will be 4 years.
Four.
The first payment will be the payment of $18,000 that will come through that federal JAG grant.
All right, so that one's not out of our pocket.
That $18,000 is not out of our pocket.
And the next one I'm seeing that would be due in July 27 would be our first one.
That is
So
correct.
we would have to budget for that.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I explained it to her also, a sales rep, I said, this is based off of a grant. If I write this grant, they say, no, we don't like what you wrote in it, and we don't get it, we're not buying it. This is our only hope to get this is a grant. So, we don't have the funding for this, not in the budget for that. So, she understands that. That's the reason why I told her she needed to go back and work on her numbers, because I need them a little bit better. This grant here is for equipment and training. So with me trying to implement a training program for less lethal in our tasers, I think we've got a really good chance of getting it. I really do. I spoke to her for about 30 minutes on the phone today. When it comes to trying to acquire money for the town, I'm all about trying to get money,
Your comfort and confidence level with the product.
Yes, Taser is world renowned for their quality. That's what we use. This will be the third, if we were to purchase the 10s, this will be our third set of tasers. Just equipment breaks. When I was talking about that, when you pull the triggers like, oh, this is not a good feeling, things happen. Your vehicle don't crank up every day. Overall, they make some very good equipment. Nothing bad to say about Axon. Axon and Taser are the same company. So, to paint a picture for y'all, Axon is our body cams, okay? And Taser and Axon are the same company. Axon also makes in-car cameras. They also make, you can get holsters, so when you unholster, the body cam automatically comes on. So if we're all sitting in here and you're a police officer and you unholster, it's gonna automatically kick everybody's body cam on. They have a lot of those in big cities. You have deep pockets, but they make it. And it'll cut on the in-car cameras. So if you go out here and unholster, and you got 10 police cars sitting in there, and they're all Axon, they'll cut every camera on everywhere. So a lot of, you know,
Bells and whistles.
it has a lot of bells and whistles. If you're willing to pay for it, they're willing to sell it. So, but they deliver a good product. All of our, and I'll tell you, our evidence.com, that's run through Axon. So all our body cam footage goes into evidence.com. So they store all our evidence, digital evidence.
The tasers you've got now, how old are they?
2013,
So you've got to do a change.
it's about to do a change.
But I noticed that deal you passed around, that's already expired.
That's right. Yeah, the products you can buy, you can keep buying those. And the ones we have, I keep up with the expiration dates, so we're not expired on that, but
And I don't know that you need to answer this, but how often do you use them?
depends on the situation. I will tell you that in my 15-year career, I've tased one person. I can tell you that I've unholstered my taser multiple times. It's a de-escalation tool more than anything. The best way for me to describe it is a felony stop. If I go here and we stop a vehicle and it's a felony stop, I unholster my weapon and draw my weapon. Doesn't mean I'm going to use it. It means I'm prepared to use it. I've never used my firearm on anybody, and I hope I never do through my career. It doesn't mean it's not a valuable tool. So
most of the time before you use your firearm, you use the taser.
we work with a continuum wheel of force. Okay, so we're in the center of that wheel. And based on what we do, or what's brought to us at that time, determines what amount of force that we use. Let's just say that we show up at your house and you're agitated and you're screaming and hollering. Our presence is going to be the first step to try to talk you down, try to de-escalate. If you're at your house and you're waving a gun around, we're still going to try to talk you down, but we're going to unholster. Just because that's the use of force that you'll use. You use just enough force to de-escalate that situation, to get that person under control. Any questions?
How many tasers?
So this is, I want to say that I put in for 4 tasers, because we're a three-person department,
Yeah.
okay? So if we hire somebody, I want them to be ready, equipment hit the road. That's the last thing I want to do is come back to council and say, hey, we got this grant, but I didn't include in another taser. And you're gonna look at me like I'm crazy, because it's a possibility that we could hire it and sometime in the future, you know. And I'm not doing my due diligence to make sure that we have enough equipment for that person coming in. And that will give us a backup. So if we break something, we can still put something in somebody's hand.
This package is for 4.
This package is for 4.
Okay. So that's one of the things I was just thinking about too, and it's a good point about future contingency. We not only have to have a backup, but we have to consider the implications of what's going to be unfolding here over the next few years.
That's right.
And it's not a question of if we're going to have to increase the department, it's a question of when and how many.
I will tell you that since I've taken over as chief about 5 years ago, that I went in and when I purchase items, I'll make sure that I purchase one sitting on the shelf. Okay, so if I give you a flashlight and your flashlight breaks, we don't have time to, hey, I need a flashlight, can you give me one overnight in 2 days? That's not going to help us in the middle of the night. We go to the shelf, we pull one off, and this is your issued flashlight. Just like a holster. We've got a holster broke, we go in, we pull it off our storage shelf and say, here's our holster. We don't have time. And that was I think a not a very good way of doing business in the past, that we didn't have backups. We need backups. It's, you know, that you just don't do business like it, in my opinion. You want something, you're gonna share. We're talking about a person's life or death situation. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a flashlight. That's unacceptable. So, yes, that's what I'm doing now.
Any other questions?
Yeah, you said 4 live tasers, you said one of them is white. that you
One of them's
said-
white, it's for virtual reality, I'm sorry.
And it will never shoot.
No, so,
regular tasers.
that's correct. So I didn't get off on the virtual reality. The virtual reality you see in there is the headset. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with virtual reality. It's a headset that you put on, or the headset. Part of this is you'll get a tablet that connects to that headset. So you put the headset on and I can watch you perform and go through training, okay? The white is just strictly for training. That's all it does. It hooks up to the virtual reality, just like the pistol would hook up virtual reality. You have different probes for the hook and loop suit. So you would put a different probe in your duty weapon, and then you would have somebody role play, and that's when you deploy the taser and the hook and loop system.
So is it 3 live ones and 1 VR one, or is it,
Four live, one VR.
okay, and 1 headset as well, comes with
One
it?
headset, so it's four live, one virtual reality pistol, one headset.
Okay,
And then one hook and loop set, or hook and loop suit, and then one target.
okay. Because one of the questions I have is because the VR implementation says 1 day add-on.
Yeah, so.
Is that just the description being odd?
And I asked her about that. So I talked to them last year, and what this is, that is giving us one person to set that up. And it's probably all gonna be web-based. We'll probably go in and they'll run us through and they'll hook everything up and make sure they get it. So they're putting in that they have a person.
It's a day of support.
A day of support to hook that virtual reality up. In the past, when I spoke to them and got them to give me a quote on it, it was a quote for training. So we would bring somebody in and they would train, and the grant would not support that. So what I did this year was I went to training myself and got instructor level, so I can train in-house, and that saved us probably about $2,000 to do that. So I'm trying to set up a department up for future trainings, on a regular basis.
Would this allow, this training with the VR headset, would it allow our officers to become certified in any?
An instructor, no.
Okay.
All it is, so our Officer Markins is already certified in TASER. This is just continuing education for him.
Okay.
Yeah, and it will be continuing education for myself.
Got it.
Do I hear a motion? Any more questions?
One more thing before we get to that. You've got about 2 or 3 days to decide on. So if you want to, I know we talked about it a couple times before, but the grant's gonna go up in probably about, maybe a week. And next week is when it's gonna go away. Not to put y'all in a bad place.
So have you applied for the grant or not?
I have not. I've only called and talked to the coordinator about it, to make sure that, I don't want to come here and give you a spiel and give you high hopes on something and go there and say, I'm sorry, you're not eligible for it. So I just want to make sure I did my homework before I come up and presented you with stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
So we're eligible for it if we apply for it. Now, if we get it, that's someone, they could kick it or they could approve it.
one thing I do see in these invoice payment details, it says that VR implementation 1 day add-on in each year. Does that mean we get a day of support each year, or is it only one initial event?
I do not know, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I do not know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've done really good homework on this and done a really good job with that grant. I think that was a good idea to have the large payment for this fiscal year not come out of our budget. And that's one thing I really like about the whole plan is we can incorporate this in the future budgets, such that it doesn't affect the current year, doesn't force us to go beyond what we have already budgeted. I'm very much in favor of having our police department up to date on training and hardware. If he's had to deploy it once, I think it's worth us to have a good quality equipment for him to use it potentially in the future. So I'd make a motion that we move forward with the plan, contingent upon that we get the grant to pay for that big upfront payment in this fiscal year.
Is there a second?
Second.
John?
Worley,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Harding.
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Majora,
Yes.
Poindexter.
Yes.
Hey, Jason, you got it. Do you have anything else?
Yes.
What is that?
Go.
I was gonna say, if it won't flock, it was gonna wait till next week, next month. All right, wait a minute, before you get on the flock, let's let John go, and then we'll close it out with flock. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, I got one thing, I've got something about flock too. One thing, nice and easy, our new bill going through the General Assembly, which will allow us to give discounted water and sewer fees for low-income elderly folks. It's all gone all the way to the Senate now. And so today, it passed by for the day. So they didn't do anything with it. I don't know why, but they got it passed from 99 to nothing. So far, it's been sailing through, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna go on and get passed by the Senate. So there's that. Now, on the flock, I sent the council yesterday a copy of section 2.25517 of the Code of Virginia, and also the Acts of Assembly, which is the law form of the statute that is, before it goes into the Virginia Code, as 5517. That statute provides regulation for what they refer to as automatic license recognition cameras. So that is something we really ought to look at. It was mentioned when we talked about this on February 3rd, but it's a much more extensive statute than maybe was given credit for at that meeting. It provides some of the most important protections that we have, that we were concerned with. As one of them is, can the flock or the vendor or whichever company is actually providing the service, can they sell the data? The customer data is the property of the customer, according to this statute. And it cannot be retained more than 21 days, and it has to be destroyed then in a way that cannot be recovered. And the last thing is security. That was a big question. They have to provide security to, according to the requirements of the Virginia Information Technologies Agency. So all these things are provided and a lot more. And Jason has a very clear presentation of all the terms of the statute, and I'll let him present that. But this statute does not say that it applies unless otherwise provided in a contract. So it would take precedence over the terms of the contract that are in conflict. Provisions can't be waived. So this statute should give us a lot of protection, and I feel pretty good about it if we can just to see how that works, and so far it's worked well. There's gonna be, each vendor has to provide, actually has to get approved by the Department of General Services, and they have to certify that they will not sell the data, that they will provide the security, they will destroy the data in 21 days, plus some other things, or they can't operate in the state. So, and Flock has registered, they are on the list of companies that have gotten the certification from this Department of General Services. And so they have made these representations that they won't do these things. Plus, in the terms and conditions, there is a provision where they say they will not sell the data. So I don't think we have to worry about that. The state statute says not to, can't do it. They certified that they wouldn't, and it's in their paperwork. So that's a big concern we don't need to make. So if Jason can lay the statute out for us, I think that's our protection.
Okay, so I have a presentation tonight for automatic license plate readers. And you'll hear me probably use the term just LPRs, but it's the same. So the what, who, how, and why. All right, so automatic license plate readers, ALPRs, Code of Virginia 2.2-5517, use of law enforcement agencies. And at the bottom of it down here, that's what I'm citing it out of, is the law. All right, what is an ALPR? It's a high-speed camera software that converts license plates into searchable data. It's used to compare plates against law enforcement databases. System data includes plate images, vehicle images, date, time, and location, searchable metadata. Purpose of this law, the statute establishes strict limits on how ALPR may be used, data retention requirements, vendor restrictions, public reporting mandates, civil liberty protections. And all this is out of the Virginia Code. When an ALPR may be used, law enforcement may use an ALPR only for criminal investigations with reasonable suspicion, missing or endangered persons, notifications involved, stolen vehicles or plates, outstanding warrants, human traffic cases, active alerts. All right, so agencies may not query data outside these purposes. We just don't get on there and just get to looking around and see what people are doing what. That's not allowed. All right, ALPR may not be used to interfere with lawful activity to track individuals based on protected speech or general surveillance outside statutory purposes. We must go by what the Code of Virginia says. Data retention laws, this goes back to what John says. The code says must be deleted after 21 days. The system data is permanently destroyed and unrecoverable. All trails retained for 2 years, then permanently destroyed. All right, so the only exception to this is ongoing investigation or court case. Vendor restrictions. Vendors must certify no selling or sharing of data, data purge capability 21 days, audit trail 2 years, 24-hour database updates, compliance with Virginia IT security standards. John hit on all this. Vendors must notify agencies of subpoena, search warrant, third-party request. This all comes out of the Virginia Code down here at the bottom. Data ownership and sharing. Data belongs to the law enforcement agency. It's not subject to Virginia FOIA, cannot be sold. May only be shared with other law enforcement agencies for authorized purposes, Commonwealth attorneys, defense counsel for discovery, court orders, and vendor for maintenance. All right, vehicle stops and reasonable suspicion. An ALPR hit alone is not reasonable suspicion before a stop. Officers must develop independent reasonable suspicion or confirm that the plate vehicle matches database information. We will contact our dispatch to do that, okay? Nowhere time point has people's names in there. It's just strictly photos of the vehicle and license plates. Each agency must adopt a written policy, including training requirements, authorized uses, verification procedures, 30-day interval audits, security protection, sharing restrictions, retention, destruction procedures. Okay, it goes back to the Code of Virginia. Annual reporting requirements by April 1st each year. Agencies must report number of cameras, database used, number of purposes of queries, demographics of suspects changed, numbers of vehicle stops, unauthorized access incidents, third-party data requests. Reports must be publicly posted with privacy protections. So every year the Virginia State Police sends us all these, we want all these reports. We have to comply with what Virginia State Police says. If we don't comply with Virginia State Police, these grants that I'm talking about, they go away. They say, you're not, okay, you don't have to report your stuff. That's fine, you're not getting any more money. So evidently I'm reporting it because we get money. And we'll continue to report it because that's just the right thing to do. Penalties for misuse. Intentional misuse includes unauthorized queries, improper sharing or sale of data. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor. Additionally, illegally obtained evidence cannot be used by the Commonwealth in court. If I do this, I lose my job. Not only do I lose my job, I lose my certification. I'm not into losing my house because I'm doing stupid things down here. This right here comes from Code of Virginia at the bottom. Public awareness requirement for implementing ALPR. Agencies must promote public awareness. We spoke about this in the public meeting down here, what we wanted to do with the grant. Touching base on that, kind of going forward a couple slides. If we continue to move forward with the flock cameras in our community, I will reach back out at that point and probably do, a post and say, hey, these are what we have in our communities. This is what you see. This is why they're here. What this law does not cover. The statute does not apply to traffic enforcement cameras, speed tolls, parking, DMV, weigh stations, non-criminal justice uses. Key takeaways. Virginia's ALPR law is built around strict purpose limitations, short 21-day retention, strong vendor controls, mandatory audits, annual transparency, civil liberty protections, criminal penalties for misuse. Who in Virginia? So who in Virginia has these things? 159 out of 251 municipalities in Virginia are using automatic license plate readers. This comes from the 2026 report of Virginia Crime Commission. 80% of these are large agencies. 35% are small agencies according to the 2024. This comes from the Crime Commission. Who in Virginia, part 2, 86% or 137 of Virginia agencies out of the 159 Virginia agencies are using flock cameras. The biggest number in Virginia is using flock cameras. You'll see the breakdowns down here in the bottom of the other Axon, flock, all these others here in the bottom. Okay, it comes from the Virginia Crime Commission. Who has access to the town of Hurt? I do. Password protective. I have admin rights. I can grant access to outside agencies upon request. Officer Markins has password protected. He cannot grant access to outside agencies. Or who manages the system? I do. Town of Hurt. Okay. How are the cameras used in the town of Hurt? The cameras capture the tag along with vehicle attributes when it passes, color, make, model, distinguishing features. The camera logs the time, date, and the location of the vehicle. If the chief and or Officer Markins need information from the image, they will have to call Pennsylvania County Dispatch. This does not give people's information. It's no private information that says Bob Barker was driving his Cadillac down Prospect Road at 2:04 in the morning. It just gives strictly, it was a Cadillac, it had a purple sticker in the back, and this is the direction it was going. If I want to get any further information, I have to call dispatch and I have to give that tag for that information. And going back a couple slides, I have to have a reasonable suspicion to do so. It's just not to see if Bob Barker's leaving his house at 1:59. I have to believe that he is going to do something. At no time is anyone's name, address, phone numbers, or other identifying information inputted in the flock system. If when a hot list vehicle is identified, stolen vehicle, silver, amber alerts, notification is sent through the system to myself, Officer Markins, per Hurt PD policy. We enter our case number and a reason for accessing the vehicle image unless alerted by by a hot list. I went back and audited all our records since this has been implemented in October. Nowhere in there do we not enter a case number or the reason for that search, whether it was myself or Markins. It was always a case number we had put in there, okay? Surveillance, flock ALPRs do not and cannot track vehicles, much less individual people. ALPR take a point-in-time image of the rear vehicles on public highways. They are incapable of tracking the whole of anyone's movements and determination that they have been consistently, my eyes are tired, made by courts across the country. All right, what's our cost? 25, 26. I was able to obtain a grant for the town for $10,000 for these things. All right, it come in, it was $10,000.20. So the town had to pay 20 cents. 26, 27, I will reapply for that grant if the council wishes me to do so after tonight. All right, the HEAP program for fiscal 2025, they had a budget of $4.4 million collected from Virginia's approximately 200 insurance companies. So everybody in this room that has insurance on your vehicle is paying for these things, okay? Over the last 10 years, HEAP's budget has more than doubled. The assessment and insurance companies is the fund's only source of revenue. So what happens with this HEAP stuff, they give out money, reward money. So if you know that there's a stolen vehicle behind your neighbor's house, you call up and say, hey, there's a stolen vehicle. And then say, hey, here's some money for it. At the end of that budget year, they go in and say, we have X amount of dollars. After X amount of dollars, then they will go in and they will say, we're opening up a HEAP grant for this money. Do you want to apply for it? If you do, fill it out, send it up. You may or may not get it. That's where the money comes from, okay? Getting back to the money, that gives us 3 cameras. That's what it gives us. They're quite expensive. That's the reason why we're trying to get more grants. All right? Does anybody have any questions? If it's a legal question, you probably want to ask John.
Well, let me add one thing. Bob has found a lot of things that he feels that makes Flock a bad choice as a vendor. There are other vendors. If you wanted to try another one for the next term, that would be up to the council to decide that. One of the things that I wanted to be sure of was if we turn the cameras off, would we be in breach of the contract that we're in? And it says in the terms and conditions that you can turn the cameras off, but you cannot terminate the contract in the middle of the contract without being in breach. So you could terminate, you could deactivate the cameras if you wanted to and wait out the end of the term. And if you don't want to renew, it says in the contract, you have to say so 30 days before it expires. So we made the contract on August 19th. Both parties signed it on August 19th. So if we don't want to renew it into the next year, we'll have to let them know July 19th, 18th or earlier. Probably ought to make it a couple weeks early. And that would then give a chance to get a different vendor. Axon that we're doing the tasers with, they provide these services. Motorola provides them. They're on the list of certified vendors. So that would be something you could do if you wanted to go away from Flock. But these services are very widely used.
So, I did what I was told to do for my wife. Because she bought me this package because I couldn't be here Thursday. I read every single page of it, something that nobody does.
I did.
And so, on section 9, moving from the front,
section 9
from the front page,
of what?
of the very first
Contract?
page, where it says
Contract?
section 9 right there, that you did a 9 and a star.
What's the page number? Is it-
It don't have a page number, that's why I gotta tell John it's right.
Are you in the terms and conditions
I'm
or
in the,
statute or?
whatever it very first started with, which was,
Term.
this is right
Exhibit A,
before
privilege.
right before privacy, that section.
So right at the beginning.
It's a typo.
That's what I said at the beginning. Terms and conditions, section 9.
Number 9, okay.
Limitation of liability, and this is Flock's verbiage. The very bottom paragraph, it says, Flock will not be liable for loss of data or the cost of procurement of substitute items or services. This section 9 applies to the extent permitted by law. So, to me, that's saying that's a get out of jail free if they lose your data. They're not on hook.
Your damages will not be more than what you paid them.
Right, which is the 10K a year.
And there's another place where it says that the damages for the breach by the customer, that they're not limited like that. So that's not fair.
Right.
I'm telling them like it is.
Yeah,
That's one of the things that's not fair.
right.
And I don't see anything in the statute that has anything to affect that.
So then on the privacy section, best I can give on that is in the bottom corner, it's got a 2/13. You got a note out to the side, a collection of personal information that says, who is you, town of Hurt.
Yeah, I think that must be the town, right?
Right.
It says you.
So then I go down to the last 4 sentences or such, and it says, in case you change your mind or wish to update or delete your personal information, we will make reasonable efforts to correct, update, or remove your personal information in compliance with applicable laws. They're not guaranteeing it. They're saying they'll make reasonable efforts. And I go back to what I said a couple weeks ago, we are responsible for 1,269 citizens' personal information. I need something a little bit better than we'll do a reasonable effort.
Well, that's our personal information.
I understand
The
that.
town's.
Right.
What is that?
That's what I mean, it's everybody in
It's not
here.
everybody in the town. It's not people. The town is the customer, the town government. Not the people in town, not these folks out here, the rest of the citizens.
I understand
We don't
that.
have their information and we don't give it to Fox. So they don't have it to
That'll be
give.
my email and my telephone and,
Right.
my contact information. Yeah.
And then you get over on
It
to,
might be you because you're the one that deals with them.
And I signed the contract.
But it's
Right.
not the citizens of the town.
unless they get through Jason's email. Then we move further along to page 7-7/13. In addition, personal data may be disclosed in the context of a corporate transaction, including a merger, acquisition, divestiture, restructuring, or sale of assets where such data is part of the transfer of business operations. My head there goes to the lady that had the DNA thing where you buy the kit, mail it in there, and they tell you what your generation is down the road, and then she sold it. So everybody's DNA that lady had got sold in that data, in that acquisition.
But they're talking about if they were to be merged or what, they would have, they're talking about their customers. And that would be the town.
Right,
That wouldn't be any individual.
I know, but I'm still looking at it for our town. We moved,
They will disclose the town, I'm sure, as a customer.
then if we go to section 9/13, linked sites. Please be advised that this website may contain links to third-party websites. The linked sites are not under the control of Flock, and we're not responsible for the content or privacy practices of any linked site or any link on a linked site.
When I use Flock. I go strictly to Flock, and that's what I go to. I don't go to any other third-party link.
You don't, they do. They do. It's just like with the storage, they store on the Amazon data center. They use Amazon, and it says in here they use Amazon, and it's like they use, for encryption, they use like T126, and if you go and you research the T126 and you research the Amazon, FedEx got hacked on that. Several other ones did, and the reason being is because stored information gets encrypted. T126 protects it on a transfer from our cameras to their storage. Now this server gets full and they gotta transfer it from this server to the server beside it. There's gotta be a whole nother encryption that carries it from here to here. So this 126 doesn't carry it from this server to this server. You gotta have a whole nother encryption to go from this server to this server as each server walks along. And that's how datas get hacked and breached, is for when you stop your encryption because you think because it's on this server, it's done and stopped, and it's not, because when that server fails, they've got to move to the server beside it. And when it hops that little space in between them servers is when it gets grabbed. That has nothing to do with you. That has to do with their third-party services.
But the only data that's in there is my data as far as contact information. I got a copy for the car that I hand them out all day long. This is my name, this is the business address, the town hall, and this is my phone number, my email. There's nobody's, information as far as
Where I'm going at it with is what I shared a couple weeks ago when I went to Comfort Systems, and it starts with an email. And that was a multi-billion-dollar company that got hacked on one email, on one thing, one PDF that got opened that looked top-notch, looked perfect, got opened up, and that whole system got took that quick. It's not that everybody makes a mistake.
Sure.
I got nothing against the license plate reader. I just have a problem with how Flock does business. That's all I'm saying, is how they do business. Axiom, I'd love to talk to them, see if you can't get a package deal. Hey baby, we're getting tasers from you, we got body cameras from you, let's talk about license plate readers, and let's get a package deal like State Farm with, bundle.
Progressive bundle.
Yeah, I mean,
I just have a problem with their practices, that's all I have.
I'm open to check to different vendors. I have no problem with checking with different vendors. And I'm just not a diehard, it's Flock or nothing. And I understand your safety concern. The code puts provisions in there for that. They're certified in that. Flock is one of the biggest vendors. So you reap the biggest benefit with them because you can contact other agencies through that. Axon's a big reputable company. I have no idea how they do business. I don't know. I can't speak on that. I think for putting them in town, if you use them correctly, they're a benefit to everybody. I don't care if somebody knows that I go to Family Dollar and I get a bag of chips. I'm not doing anything illegal to be worried about that. My information of the vehicle that I'm driving is going to get dumped off in 21 days anyway. Okay, so it's not a big deal to me. However, if we have a person that has dementia and she walks off somewhere in the middle of the night, it could be a benefit to us. Or we have somebody that robs somebody. Anything like that is a benefit. It's another tool in our toolbox to use to protect everybody in this town, including myself, because I live here. I'm a firm believer in
business practice.
in
It's
the
nothing
product.
you, and it's nothing on the camera.
Yeah.
It's the business practice.
I'm a firm believer in the product. This technology is a wonderful product to have to let technology work for everybody. I know people have some concerns that people are, going down the road and I can watch somebody. Sure, I can do it. I can also get charged for it. I'm not sleeping on a nasty cot up in Pennsylvania County, I'm sorry. So, I've seen it and I know how it smells up there. It smells like a jail. But, so anybody can misuse anything. For me, the interpretation, because I'm not an attorney, trying to throw John on the bus, I'm not an attorney. He's an attorney. So I'll leave the interpretation to John of how they conduct business. I'm for the in-service, but John is knowledgeable when it comes to law.
John, one thing I'd like to also point out is in the terms and conditions, 4.1 data use and licensing, they say that as between Flock and customer, all right, title, and interest in and to customer data belong to and are retained by customer, but customer hereby grants to Flock a limited, non-exclusive, royalty-free, irrevocable, perpetual, worldwide license to use and disclose customer data to Flock services, provide Flock services. To me, that sounds like it may be ours, but they will always have access to our data.
But if that's in conflict with the statute is gonna override that.
Is this
But
a
it
statute?
also says that this customer data can be disclosed for two reasons, not just anything they want to do. It's got to be to provide the services, which is their services to the customer, and the second thing is to use the customer data to support and improve their products and services, not to sell it. And say that's not what that's talking about anyway. But if they disclose it, willful disclosure is a Class 1 misdemeanor under the statute. So
And is that statute in place right now, or is that one that's in proposal?
it is passed. It was passed last year.
It passed last year?
And some of it was effective July 1st of last year. Some of it became effective January 1st of this year. And that, it's all effective now. So yeah, it's not proposed. It's in place.
Okay. I'd like to do PowerPoint as well. Can I turn it back on?
You need sign? Yeah, John's got it.
So we got some people that weren't here for that meeting, so I'd like to review a couple points I talked about last time. But also to just make sure we're all on the same page. Flock in particular is the automatic license plate reader that has had the most critical security vulnerabilities identified. And you can see these, we covered them last time. There's physical vulnerabilities where they can literally press a button on these devices and gain access to them and their data that they have. They have exposed USB ports, which allow people to then scrape data from these devices if they were to steal one. There's already been police credentials from Flock sold on or available for sale on the dark web. And that is something that has been brought up in front of the FTC. Senators have talked about this as well. They're using Android operating systems that are no longer being provided critical security updates. So Android 8.1, that's from a very long time ago. That was when I was in high school. And then they use clear text credentials in their messaging between their device and their servers. And that means that if someone's going to intercept that, they would be able to see those credentials for that device and gain access to it forever. So, or until it was changed at some point. 60 cameras were already found and accessible from a public search engine that you can just live stream. I know we're not going to purchase, we don't have purchased the live cameras technically right now, but just as a mark on Flock's reputation, this didn't require any passwords, no login, not encrypted. They're able to see the past 30 days of video archive. I know it goes against our statute of 21 days, but this is just something that exists right now. There's over 60 cameras exposed. So people are able to see faces. They were actually able to see what was physically on a person's phone that they were scrolling through as they were walking past. These are high quality camera devices. So one thing, I'm not a fan of automatic license plate readers. I understand why some people might, but there have been independent studies that have put extreme doubt into actually do they truly reduce crime like they're proposed. And in a specific case, that Flock claimed that they reduced crime, and another independent study came in and said that it actually increased over that same time period. And this was done by Forbes, fairly reputable news organization. At George Mason University, they did the study in Alexandria and Fairfax County, found no significant reduction of crime. You got Baton Rouge, Louisiana, same thing. Never found a statistical difference in crime reduction in areas that are similar geographically, economically, and saw no difference in crime in those two areas. Same with Mesa, Arizona. These are all independent studies, some of them done by the Federal Department of Justice. So, you know, there's really, I know they make some people feel better, right? There's a video log, you can go and look and you can see what went by at this certain point in time. I can understand why people think that may help, but you can take lots of anecdotal evidence as well. We had major healthcare president of United Healthcare. He was murdered in New York City, one of the most heavily surveilled cities in our country. They have automatic surveillance going on 24/7 there. And that person made it all the way to Pennsylvania. And you know how they got caught is by a person that worked in McDonald's reporting. So we really think that automatic surveillance is going to be the end all to reduce all crime and hurt. Don't believe that. It's not going to. People can just walk in the woods and walk out, right? And these specifically that we have are for cars. So I just want to put that in everybody's mind that they really think it's going to reduce crime. The jury's still out on that. And in fact, most studies, except for those that Flock paid for, have found that they do not actually cause any reduction in crime. So what we're doing is we are allowing surveillance on all of our citizens who are not committing crimes with the thought that it would reduce crime, and there's no statistical evidence to support that. So I have a problem with that. The HEAT grant, there's a bill that is, I don't know if it's been passed, John, I don't know if you looked at this, but they are actually talking about removing Flock from being able to be used to finance the Flock purchase and contracts through the HEAT grant. So that might be going away. You want to look into that? I'd love to see that. So it may be free right now or 20 cents, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. So, you know, we got to make that choice. I really think if we're going to do automatic license plate reader, if our council's for it, so be it. I can be the only one that's against it. I can live with that, but I really think we need to think about a different vendor, especially with these critical security vulnerabilities, these credentials for sale on the dark web. That, to me, is just a showstopper. Their privacy policy is extremely bad compared to these other vendors like AXA. And we've got to do better by our citizens. And I don't know if people heard just here the last few weeks, Flock got in trouble in the state of California, which already has these statutes with not sharing your data. Somehow a switch got flipped in a lot of these, in pretty much every locality in California, that said, I will allow third-party access or other agencies. And no one knows how this switch got flipped in these localities, and now they're being brought to court in California. It just happened this past week. And no one in these organizations, these police departments, say that they're the ones that flipped the switch, and Flock is saying that that's the only way it's possible. And now there's court battles happening around it. So Flock as an organization, in my opinion, is one of the less credible ones, probably the least credible ones of all these ALPRs. So I prefer if we do not do any sort of ALPR. I would love to see us deactivate them. One thing that I also would like to say is that if we do go with ALPRs, I'd like to see specific governances that we abide by. And a lot of those are in this statute that we talked about. But basically, I would like us to have a written public policy on what we're gonna do, and I think you did a good job here with this PowerPoint today. You had some very good points on how we can use it and how we plan to use it as a town. I like how the statute limit puts it at 21 days. I think that's a good limit if we are gonna continue to do it. Strict access controls, I think we have to have mandatory multi-factor authentication on your devices for anybody who has access to this. So they have to do that annoying, yes, it's me on my phone when they log in to see that.
And get the code.
Yeah. And then, if we for some reason have an employee that we let go that had access, we need to deactivate it before we let them go. So they can't do anything with that. I think we need to have regular audits like the statute requires, but these need to be public. And make sure that if there's complaints, we have an independent process to follow. It's not something that's internally handled. The statute's gonna control the sharing restriction as well. I really like that Virginia's basically saying you can't share with other agencies and organizations. And then if we do know that any of our employees' emails are hacked, we click on a bad link, we need to immediately contact River Trail, our IT networking group, get them to go through a process to make sure that we are safe, securely, meaning we don't have any malware installed on these persons' computers, but basically to ensure that we have a good process to follow in case of a security incident, right? Because if we have one of these in place, that's a vast amount of data that we're giving those people access to. So I think there's a lot of governance that we need to go around if we are to continue with any sort of ALPR. So that's one thing I'll put out there as well. So essentially, in my mind, we have a couple choices, and that is, what are we going to do with Flock right now? Are we going to continue to leave these on, knowing that, at least from what I hear, most of us don't like that organization? And are we going to renew, or are we going to go with someone else? Or are we just going to stop the use of ALPRs, which is my purview, entirely in the town?
Can I address some of the concerns? So we do have a policy in place, okay? Code says we must have a policy in place. We do have a policy in place.
And there's a policy model
That's
that
correct.
is provided by the state police that
Yes.
governs this.
So I did I got an email for a policy last week for the model policy. I've started on that already for the policy, converting our current policy. And our current policy, it complies with the Code of Virginia says 21 days internal audits. The internal audit, the Virginia Code says we don't disseminate internal audits. That's what it says. So if I do an internal audit, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, John, if you see it differently, but if it says I don't do it, you're not gonna get it because that's what the law says. I can't do it. So
I don't know if the reports that you are required to make under the statute are to be public or not.
yeah, the way I understand it with the internal audits,
Well, it doesn't say internal audit, it says
the audit, I think it's listed, there's an audit trail in there.
you have to make a report.
Yeah, we have to let them know if we had some type of breach. As far as dual authentication, we do that. If I log into that,
Good.
it clicks an email to me and I have to type that little 4 or 6 letter thing in there and whatever, squirrely letters, whatever that is, I have to do that. It's aggravating, but that's part of it. So we do have those in place.
Well, I know you did a lot of work here, Bob, but these statements that you have here, you don't really say who said them. Or how you know they're true or not. Is there any way to check and see if they're true? That nightmare, security nightmare, well, cameras hacked. Well, Jason, I guess you got a response from Flock that said they've never been hacked. You're probably not
Of course they're gonna say
true either way,
No, I mean,
But it may not be as bad as your sources, and it may not be as good as Flock's. But to me, this is not an emergency that we have to cut the cameras off. it is something we definitely need to look at other vendors and see what their rules are.
Sure. And I'm happy to reach out to my sales rep
How much they charge.
and say, hey, we're looking at applying for another grant. If we apply for it, you know, which service do you have? Can you list what your policies, procedures, guidelines are for that?
Yeah, and we want to see.
And I prefer to reach out to Axon because
If
they're.
rocks gonna be thrown out of the heat program, we need to know that. That'll solve the problem, won't it?
That's right.
Won't have to worry about it.
And I've already sent an email to the first sergeant for that. I'm like, hey, are we looking? And he's like, if money's available, so, you know, when the money was available, he dropped an email at 12:01 at night telling me that.
So we need to find out what Axon's deal is.
And I can reach out to them tomorrow and send my sales rep and say, hey, give me
Maybe
some information.
they would cut a deal on the tasers in order to get our business on
Sure.
the mic.
It's worth looking into. I have no problem looking into it. I'm happy to look into it more.
And Motorola, they do it too. Motorola.
They do. Pennsylvania County uses Motorola.
Okay. Well, they're approved by the state as well. Axon, Motorola, and Vaught.
Correct.
So I appreciate the presentation and the work you did, John, as well. I feel like I've made myself very clear. If anybody wants to look at my citations, I left them on the table. I provided them last time, gave John a copy. But yeah, we are currently doing warrantless surveillance on all of our citizens. Whether that makes people feel safer or not, that's a personal opinion. These academic studies that we're seeing, and you can see the citations here, John, these are ones that, you know, are rigorous studies that people have done across the United States, and they aren't seeing statistical difference in the use of it. And to me, what we're setting ourselves up for is a data collection monster. We're gonna have data that is tracking all of us on our personal devices, on our movements through public. We're gonna be,
Don't we have that now?
basically what we're doing is we are creating an entire ecosystem of data that is collecting on all of our citizens, and we are checking the box for our citizens. And I don't personally agree with that. I think our citizens do not deserve this type of use of technology. So I'll make a motion that we deactivate Flock, and we do not move forward with automatic license plate readers in the town of Perth.
Let me ask you a question. I noticed up there that, a guy that I used to work with, one of his favorite sayings is, I don't understand everything I know about this. If I read that right, there was 35 policemen that used this Flock, and their information was hacked. Okay. So if those 35 policemen were hacked, information, I believe it said information was sold to Russia or something like that. If that be true, me living on 605 Spring Street, that hacker goes in there, I got my tag number. How much of my personal information can they get?
Well,
All of it?
I mean, they could do a lot. You can purchase a lot of information of people already on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
If they have the credentials to a Flock system in a locality and they know the person lives in that locality, they could easily say, I want to look up this car, this tag, and they would be able to see every single time that person went past that place. They could be notified when they go past that place because they would be acting like just a police officer with access to Flock, right? So they would get a ding when that person goes by, and if they want to do harm to that person, they'd be able to do that.
Well, Bob, I asked you to give me a cite for that very statement, and you never did. And all it says is November 2025. It doesn't say who said that, where it came from, and all those statements right there, they have no source.
You're looking at the handout. I gave you a copy of the citations last time we were here.
Well, there's some things you say was done by a college, but I don't see anything that says about the 35 police, but so,
That's just what I saw up here.
yeah, it's up right here too. But, I mean, we gotta know the source of it, and some of this stuff is YouTube, somebody on YouTube said stuff.
So here you go, house.gov, pretty reliable source. Congressman, I can't pronounce his last name, and Senator Wyden urge FTC to investigate surveillance tech companies to protect Americans' personal data.
They urged them to investigate.
Yeah,
Well, okay,
you asked for the,
we are gonna investigate here and find out about Axon. We're
Okay.
gonna investigate. Saying somebody should investigate something, does that mean that they that there is something there? Or are they gonna investigate and find out if there's something there? That's what investigate means, is find out.
I'm not sure what your question is.
What is the source of this information? How does that headline show that there's anything that Flock did?
Well, in that third or fourth paragraph over, it's what Hudson Rock.
It says they're gonna investigate, and that's a congressman who wants to
No,
investigate.
right there we got highlighted, Hudson Rock Cybersecurity Company.
I can't read it. I can't read that, it's in blue. Anyway, if we wanna take all this as stone facts, I mean, you can believe every word of it, but some of the stuff is YouTube. YouTube, the guy said, and it's
The,
true.
the video that he published that detailed it, I wanted to provide a link that people could easily watch it. There's a white paper I emailed to everybody on council over a month ago that gave the detailed analysis. It was over 50 pages of data I provided you, John. That was from GainSec.
Well, anyway,
My
we got a
thoughts on this
motion to deactivate and then at the same time not do the APL anymore. Should that be two motions?
I think it should be, because that's two separate issues.
What were you gonna say, Gary?
This thing has become incredibly complicated. The water is muddy. There's legitimate concerns on all sides. And it's very easy to make a mistake, despite the best of intentions. The fact that this issue has even come up and gone this far has taken us across a line as far as public confidence and as far as dealings with this particular company that we have now. There's reasons now to question. I saw some things in John's notes that would take too long to discuss this late, that seem to raise questions about liability and different things. My thoughts are definitely we should be looking for a different vendor. But my thoughts also are definitely that we should continue to have this service in place to help law enforcement solve crime. I don't know how much of a preventative measure this is. It may be some, but when you are considering the victims of crimes and the justice that they rightly deserve, I don't think you want to do anything to compromise that. And we are very late in the terms of this contract. It only has a few more months to go on it. And we're obligated, we're paid, as far as I know, up to this point. It runs out in August anyway. as complicated as this is, I don't see why that we would not just simply let this contract expire. And we can talk about whether to turn them off tomorrow or turn them off when it expires, that's fine. Why not just let the current contract expire, and in the meantime, let Jason and others do their work? And we've already discussed the quality of Axon products. Find out what we can get from them. We've also heard that the county uses Motorola. Let's find out about them and have a plan in place to replace what we have now with something better, rather than just letting it fall by the wayside. Those are my thoughts on it.
Alice, you got anything?
Well, I did a lot of reading this afternoon, and I remain a proponent of a system, whether it's FLOC or not. The data that's talked about is a license plate number and a vehicle picture. And in order to get more information, someone would have to go to the DMV to get personal data. And the DMV then would have to be hacked because it would not be a site available to any of us who wanted to know what those numbers and letters represented. So I'm just confused about why it's so egregious to have a data thing. The Social Security system recently, last year, was hacked, and 300,000 Americans' information was made available to the hackers. That's egregious. I don't see how the license plate number and the picture of a vehicle with a driver inside of it is going to be a major level. And I don't see it as a deterrent for crime, but I do see it as helping to find crime people. So I'm just in favor of a system. I'm not wedded to FLOC, but I think we need something.
I've had that very same thought recently, that if someone is going to get your data
They can
based
get
on a tag, the only way that's going to happen is if they hack the DMV database.
Exactly.
At that point, it is a DMV cybersecurity issue,
Yeah.
not anyone else's.
Have y'all ever used the EZ Pass? Because you have to put your license in there. Every single website that you've ever had to put your license plate information in could be hacked. So that's not just the DMV.
But that could be any of them.
Yeah.
Everybody in here's got data scattered all over the web. Their banking statements, their credit card statements, their driving permits, it's all out there. So you're already being exposed every day.
Why are we as a town going to make the decision to allow data of our citizens to potentially be hacked?
The key word's potentially.
Yeah, how big is the potential? I think what's being said here is that the potential is always non-zero, but it's tiny. This is about infinitesimal. Because again, somebody's gonna have to hack something like the DMV to get anything from you about, just from your tags, I would think. I mean, maybe I'm missing something here.
You are missing a little bit. I'm gonna tell on my wife, she's gonna forgive me for it. She blew an easy pass because she got in the wrong lane coming out of the Outer Banks. And she got a ticket. Right or wrong, got a ticket. And guess what?
Based on her license.
She paid that ticket. And for about 8 months in a row, she kept getting issued that same ticket from different websites. Not from Easy Pass, not from the camera company, not from the state of North Carolina, but she kept getting it, and she kept saying, look at this. And she would email them back, I paid this fine. And that email would disappear. And then it would reappear the following month from a whole nother company, so don't think you gotta hack the DMV. Is that not true? As Jimmy said, I pushed snow for a whole lot of people in the town of Hurt. I give one guy my name just so he could say thank you. Next thing I know, Kim's getting a call on her phone from his sister who lives in Hurt that got my name, and then she just put in on Google, Paul Johnson, Hurt. It give them her phone number.
Let me share
The potential is there, and it's like I said before, it's one thing if I put my information out there to get hacked, that's my business. But I'm not gonna help something happen to 1269, just as, same as Jason wants to protect everybody in this town, I wanna protect them the best I can on the technology side. And again, I don't like how this company does business, because there's too many gray areas and too many loopholes that allows them to come out.
But is that information that you don't like based on internet influencers or hardcore?
It's right in here, Gary, that's what I highlighted. It ain't no influences to it. When a company sits here and says that they use third parties and they're not responsible for them, that's in here. I'm just reading what John told me to read, and that's what I highlighted, that's what I brought up. That's straight from Flock.
Yeah, and the person I'm referencing is a nationally recognized cybersecurity expert, GainSec. I used YouTube so that you could watch something, you didn't have to read a cybersecurity specific document. But I actually emailed you and gave you a PDF copy, gave the whole town a copy.
Yeah, GainSec.
So please don't think that it's just some influencer. I just try to make it easier for you all to digest.
Right there, 87 pages, I kept it in my file.
And we've got everybody sitting in this room and everybody in town in our database on a computer every day.
We do.
And we're going through accessing multiple times during the day, different people. And that data's being accessed right here at Town Hall every day.
Why add to it?
I think Jimmy had some comment.
If you're gonna continue with something like that, why wouldn't you go look at the lawsuits that are against a company like Flock and see what was breached and like the Fourth Amendment rights, what they're doing? You know, I mean, if you're gonna continue another company, at least research that and look at, you know, their contract to make sure that that information isn't gonna get out there or it hasn't already.
I think it's what they're talking about doing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, has anybody researched any of the lawsuits that's against Flock? You know, I mean, there's a lot of them out there, even in the state of Virginia. So, if you wanna continue with that, I don't think that's a good option. I agree with you.
We talked about getting hacked and everything else. I want to share something with y'all real quick, and I'm not going to mention the man's name. I'm not going to mention his name at all. Last night, I received a message. I'm so tied up right now. Can you help me purchase an Apple gift card, 3-piece, $200 each at a nearby store? I will reimburse as soon as I see you later. That's a bunch of crap. But the man, what I did, because it come from this particular person, I answered and I said, I'll do what I can. But that was before I read the $300. The first thing was, I'm tied up right now. Can you help me purchase? The other come later after I said, I'll do what I can. Now, where did that come from?
Any open source information you find on the internet. Because way back when, we all remember, those yellow pages and white books, they throw it in your driveway, put it in the mailbox. All that information is in an electronic database. I can go back to, my grandparents who are deceased at 100-some years old, show a phone number for them. That's public information.
But if I'd answered that, there's no telling the information they could have got.
No, they wouldn't have, they wouldn't have got anything off of it, you just block your number, go on. They run scams like it every day.
Remember, scammers don't take a day off.
All right, what are we gonna do?
I have a motion on the table.
I thought we had one from the last meeting.
If I can say something before y'all do that motion, to talk about lawsuits, they did sue, they went against Flock, they lost in Flock in Fourth Circuit Court. That's who wrote, he was over us. They said that we are not surveilling people in the Fourth Circuit. Will they appeal it? I don't know, that's up to them. But, that's what the Fourth Circuit says, that's what we go by.
So
Fourth
Flock
Circuit.
is overruled.
Now, Flock is good at doing what
Flock
they
is
do.
good.
The case against Flock was dismissed.
That's right,
All right.
That was in Norfolk.
that's right.
But we gotta do something. Are you,
Yeah.
are you making a motion to deactivate the cameras and terminate the ALPRs?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I second that.
When you can, when we can, at the end of the term, right?
Or
No, yeah, we can't right now, according to what you said.
We'll get sued, or we could get sued
I don't want to get sued.
in Georgia,
They can have our 20 cents.
yeah.
I thought we said that it ought to be two different things.
Well, I suggested that, but Bob says his no motion.
All right, Steve?
Was there a second?
Yeah.
Yes. Paul?
Oh,
And let me do the motion once more.
I'd like to deactivate the Flock cameras immediately and discontinue the use of ALPR technology in town of Hurt.
so that's, it should probably be two, but what he's saying is disconnect them right now and don't even use this technology, have a replacement.
All right, I'll withdraw it. I would like to make a motion to deactivate the Flock cameras immediately.
I still second.
For this contract, for the length of this contract,
Shannon?
Steve?
yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Jimmy?
I don't know, I'm in a dilemma. I'm for the flock cameras. I mean, I don't know if it's flock or not, but I am for the protection.
This is
of
just to
people.
cut them off.
This is just to turn them off for now.
I don't know, I vote no.
Alice?
No.
Bob?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
That's full.
Now, to continue this issue, I want to make a motion to direct our police department to take appropriate steps to find an alternative replacement product within a reasonable period of time.
Second.
Steve?
And one thing I'll say before you start voting, the replacement can easily be hacked, in data hacked, as with Flock.
Well, the thought process there is to get the other options from other companies on the table. And then we would evaluate those at the time based on their merits compared to what we have now. And that doesn't obligate us to go forward with any of them, but it keeps us in pursuit of an appropriate replacement product in the hopes of finding one. That's the purpose. Finding, to have this service, but have a better quality vendor than what we currently have.
Who's,
Steve?
I'll vote yes for that.
Paul?
No.
Jimmy?
I'll vote yes for that.
Alice?
Yes.
Bob?
No.
Gary?
Yes.
42.
so it looks like, Jason, you're gonna be looking for a new supplier.
That's fine. I'll be happy to pass along the information I get. I'll try to reach out to Tim Martin to see.
Anybody have anything else? We are adjourned at 9:25.
I'd like to say that we have.
Let me get the fuck out of here.
City on Saturday.
Jason, we have water. Not